And those are the people who would like to be senator from Massachusetts, and one of them already is. That's Scott Brown, Republican from Massachusetts, the unlikely victor in a 2009 special election to replace Ted Kennedy, and Elizabeth Warren. She used to be one of the president's right-hand women on economic and banking and financial issues, and they are having a doozy of a dust-up up in Massachusetts, and this is Power Play, and welcome back. And this race is setting up to be the weirdest, ugliest Senate race of all of the weird and ugly Senate races that are going to roll forth across this great nation this year. Who's going to win? I don't know whether you know this. There are some Democrats in Massachusetts, but Brown is very popular, and he was an underwear model, so who knows? Anything could happen. So let's talk about that question. You know Ford O'Connell. You know him from the fact that he is the head of the Civic Forum PAC. You know that he is a Republican strategist. And you know that, in fact, he does not wear socks when he wears a suit. But we love you anyway, Ford. We appreciate you being here. And please welcome, for the very first time, Rod Snyder. He is the president of the Young Democrats of America. And, as it has been revealed to me, he is a West Virginian. Therefore, you get a 3-point weighting in your favor.
Thank
Ford,
you.
I'm sorry.
I understand.
You understand how that goes.
I understand how it is. Rod's a good guy, though.
Some things cannot be helped. Okay, so the issue here is today, the issue of the day, du jour, is that the state of Massachusetts, a group sued the state of Massachusetts and said that they were not in compliance with law that said that they had to try to get welfare recipients to register to vote, and sued and won and got them to send out 500, the state of Massachusetts, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, Commonwealth of Massachusetts, to send out 500,000 requests to, or 500,000 voter registration encouragements to these folks who tend to be a little more Democrat than they are Republican. And then it came out that the group that had sued was in part led by Elizabeth Warren's daughter. Chairwoman. And Scott Brown freaked out. The Boston Herald freaked out. The Globe came back. They're having a big tussle about this. This comes on the heels, of course, of the long-standing Cherokee Nation fight up there. There's always something going on in this race. Let's try to make heads or tails of it. Rod, you're new, so what do you think?
I mean, it's a pretty basic issue here. The National Voter Registration Act of 1993 has been around for almost 20 years, requires that if a state is offering federal or state assistance, as well as voter registration, for instance, the motor voter laws that are so common around the country, you have to have the opportunity to register to vote. That has to be part of the process. Mm-hmm. It's been around for 20 years. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts was not following that. The organization Demos filed suit and won that lawsuit. They have not. They do not just work in the state of Massachusetts. They're in 18 states around the country. This is just part of what they do to enforce the NVRA. And Massachusetts was not following the law. It's pretty simple. They need to enforce the National Voter Registration Act.
Ford, I see one eyebrow is rather cocked over there. Go ahead.
The problem isn't the law. The problem is who brought the suit and where the suit was brought. Okay. The suit was brought by an organization chaired by Elizabeth Warren's daughter. And the suit was brought in the state of Massachusetts, where Democrats basically outnumber Republicans like Texans were outnumbered at the Alamo. Okay.
Oh,
and essentially it was brought there, and the whole thing stinks to high heaven. Okay, because it's not whether or not this is being enforced. The question is we're using taxpayer dollars to enforce something at the benefit of somebody else. I'm sure somewhere along the way, Elizabeth Warren's daughter said, "Mommy, how can I help you?"
But isn't that? But wait a minute. Let's take the worst possible. Let us wallow in our cynicism and say that all that you say is true. Isn't that the name of this game? If it's on the books and it's legal and it's the way that it is, why not?
Not if you're President Obama, because sometimes you choose not to enforce a law if it benefits you.
But Rod, I mean, come on. Isn't that just how the game's played?
Well, the problem is the point that we've reached in 2012 is that basic democratic principles, fundamental principles of democracy, like voter registration access, has become a game to the Republican Party, and I think that's where that's the problem that the Young Democrats of America and others that have been vocal in this issue. That's the problem that we're having. Is the Republican Party consistently is playing games with voter access and voter registration around the country. The voter ID laws that have been passed around this year.
You're going to get Ford warmed up.
I know. I'm sure that I am. But let's be honest. It's an attempt to suppress the vote in a systematic way.
Wait, who is attempting to suppress the vote?
Republican legislatures that have passed these.
but in Massachusetts.
Well,
Yeah,
no,
exactly.
I'm saying this is my point is this is a classic case of Democrats have always fought for broad access to voting rights. Republicans have always been on the other side of that.
Such broad access that dead people vote too.
I know where you're from, so you know he's not totally lying.
Instances of voter fraud have actually been fairly minuscule for the type of reaction we've seen from Republican legislatures this year. It's completely over the top, and it's completely politically motivated. In the state of Massachusetts, this is simply about enforcing the law to make sure that people have access to vote.
Look, we both know that voter fraud exists, okay, and we should have those who are eligible to vote. I just think that right now in the state of Massachusetts, Democrats are using this to benefit their candidate. And are voter laws potentially being manipulated by both parties across the board? Yes, to some extent. But let's be honest here. This goes on, and we need to clean up this system, and we need to not enforce it just where we pick and choose to, depending on that election cycle. And that's the real problem. Voter fraud exists. Frankly, particularly in states where there's voter ID laws, we should be having this registration at the voter ID depots, because the problem that I have right now with it being, there at the sort of federal assistance places is that the fact that you're really putting the incentive on people who want free items to register to vote for you to get more free items.
All right, well, we got to do something. We have to do something. And here's what we have to do, other than just keep loving on you, Internet. We have to talk about our Twitter political index for the day. Let's take a look there, Sasha, if we can. President Obama stands at 23, down 12, and Mitt Romney stands at 14, down 5. Now, remember what the Twitter political index does, and if we look back down there at the long arc of where the ratings are, what it does is tell us what's the overall sentiment for these folks on the Internet. And in terms of positive mentions for the president and for Mitt Romney, where do they stand? They're both pretty low today. And what this tells us is what? Negative ads work, but they hurt the negativizer too, that everybody pays a price. Am I right?
Absolutely, and essentially it's so polarized, it's gotten to the point that, the loser is going to be the person, or the winner is going to be the person who actually talks about the future.
Last man stand, what do you think?
The glut of money and negativity in this race, I mean, just in general in 2012 across the board, we need to campaign finance reform. Citizens United was the worst thing that happened to democracy in the United States. Things have got to change.
Well, there were some other bad things, but like the Civil War wasn't great.
Recently,
okay, Chris. All right, that's fine. Okay, we'll stipulate. Gentlemen, thank you so much for making time for us today. Let's go Mountaineers.